Okay, there we go.
All right. Well, hello, my name is Dina, and we decided to do our paper on the major historical events such as wars, economic depressions, political revolutions. They have consistently shaped the immigration waves by influencing both why reasons people leave their home countries and the opportunities available to them in their destinations. I chose to do this subject just because it was kind of personal to me. My great grandfather came from Lithuania due to the Russian invasion, and I was kind of curious to see from his perspective how things would have been to integrate into an American culture. I also worked with dairy farms where I have seen workers from the Dutch, mostly South American workers, and I've always wondered why they'd be willing to work in such disgusting conditions, work in live in crowded housing, and just living in a way that I would find very inconvenient myself for such little pay. So that was kind of my reason for this. I was just wondering what was their why. For my cultural immersion project activity, I watched a movie called The Pianist of 2002. It was about a Polish Jewish pianist who was being persecuted by the Nazis at the time. Him and his family were living with the Jewish the Star of David, my apologies, the Star of David, and you just seen how it evolved from, it being an inconvenience to complete separation of family, and then him living in the ghetto, to him being discovered by a Nazi general. And when the Nazi general discovers that he can play piano, he's like, if you can move me with your music, I will let you live. So he winds up playing this beautiful song and it moves him. And he's like, you know what? I'll give you a place to stay and here's some food. And he winds up making it through the whole ordeal to eventually he gets his fame back. And once he's back on his feet and life is starting to be good again, he decides he wants to look for that Nazi general to thank him for his kindness, basically. But unfortunately, when he does discover the Nazi general, he was executed 2 weeks prior, and you kind of see the wave of emotion where he was, yes, glad that the Nazis were getting what they deserved, but he was also kind of remorseful in the sense that he wasn't able to thank him for saving him personally. Another one of my activities was listening to a couple podcasts from the mob, and it goes over several different refugee stories, and it kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, unfortunately, because you know how YouTube is. I did watch a couple of videos. One of them was of a young man who was forced to watch his sister and mother being sexually assaulted and later having their throats slit in front of him. And he talked about the emotional turmoil and he's like, I just can't do this. I don't want to live like this anymore. And that's when he makes it to America. And then there was another one of a Latin American family that decided to move into America undocumented. And it talks about how her father had to work minimum wage jobs under the table, and same as her mother working in cleaning houses. And she did very well in school, and all of her teachers were like, we'll write you a recommendation letter for colleges and such. And you see how she wanted to do more, but had her hands tied because she was afraid of making herself discovered, let alone her family. So she did without. So eventually they did get to become documented immigrants in the country where she could go to school and get her doctorate. For my immersion project, I had high hopes for this. I initially wanted to make a flyer that was available to primarily the Latin Americans, where it went over like resources to them, which would be, food, housing, agencies for their assistance, and then education for their kids, like where they could go and how to go about it. Unfortunately, when I reached out to local churches, charities, immigration resources of the area, I never really got a response, unfortunately. It was a lot of dead ends. I did get a response from the IU University of Bloomington, which was surprisingly more beneficial and helpful, but even they were kind of limited. They did give me some suggestions for my flyer, but overall, it was kind of dead in the water. I was really discouraged to see the lack of effort on the others. And considering I did go to their websites, I did reach out to their emails. It's like a phone calls. And I realized coming to America isn't as easy as we all think it is. Like, oh, we always get the assumption that they have it easy. They get all these grants, they get all these benefits and blah, blah, blah. But really, they had it pretty hard. I know me as a native speaker and native to this land and culture, it was difficult for me to get these resources. And I can only imagine doing it on my own, let alone with a family. So that kind of helped me with my assumptions that it's not as easy as it looks or sounds.
Oh, is that me now?
Sorry.
No, you're okay. So, my name is Madeline, and I was interested in this topic because it's something that I or my family have never really experienced. We've been in the United States, both sides of my family, for as long as anybody can remember. So it's just it was a different topic, and it's very prevalent right now. Everybody is talking about it. It's really big in politics. So I just felt like informing myself would uh, help me base my opinion on the matter. And so my for my activity, I watched the movie. It's called Tiger Tail on Netflix. And this was interesting to me. It follows a man who immigrated to the United States from Taiwan. And it starts as kind of like a love story. He falls in love with this woman while he's in Taiwan. And then just all of a sudden she doesn't know why, and he's gone. And she never knows why for about 50 years. And then she dies. But then he gets reunited with his daughter that he had, or that she had. And uh, she stayed in Taiwan. So the interactions that they have is really interesting because he got out of Taiwan, and he he didn't grow up in the United States, but he got used to the United States and how he lives his life there, and just talking to her and seeing their interactions, it really shows the difference that it can make on a person who wants to escape their country for various reasons. And then, so my activities for my immersion projects were kind of the same in the same boat. I didn't really get any responses. I emailed a few churches, a few different organizations. None of them came up. Um, I didn't get any responses. I called one of the churches in Indianapolis, and they couldn't really give me any answers. Was running out of time. And then, so for my activity, I also wanted to work with the Indianapolis Library. They have a um, immigration like resource department. But my only two options were tutoring people, and I just felt like I couldn't really do much with that. I can't teach
Yeah.
a person the whole English language in one
Yeah.
day. And Shaylee, she said it was very immeasurable, and I agree. It's very hard to measure that. And then another thing was leading a conversation group at the library. And I myself am not informed enough, and I don't know, languages. I don't know who would have showed up on like a Thursday during the day. Um, so I just felt uncomfortable with that because I don't know how to lead a group of people that I can't really relate to, and like ask about their personal life and their struggle and not really being acquainted with them. It just didn't seem like a good option. I didn't want to offend anybody or, be disrespectful in any sense. So But it really, this whole thing, it really showed me how disconnected I am on this issue. I live in kind of a smaller town, but people aren't very close with each other, as like a smaller town than mine would be. So it's just really different. And it put me in kind of a rough spot, but now going forward, I think I can try to reach out to people in my own community and gain more confidence. So maybe later on down the road, I can work with people, ask them about their own experiences, and grow my knowledge on the topic.
Awesome. So, I'm Chase Howard. So a little bit, why I decided to choose this topic. My family had, immigrated here from Germany during, I believe it was World War II, I believe. And so, really, I kind of, sparked an interest in me to kind of just learn a little bit about like what it was like for them and like what like some challenges were and just kind of some little things like that. So, for my project, I wanted to reach out to a community and kind of talk about to reach out and provide like almost provide like ask for like resources like ways that they could help them succeed, whether it was a translator or if it was financial help or whatever it may be, but providing them those resources to help them settle in to the help them settle into moving and kind of that little process. Through this project, I unfortunately didn't have much luck as I didn't get any emails back from anyone. So that was really unfortunate, but, oh, I just jumped too far. Sorry, but, sorry, I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna go back and talk. So, the community I wanted to reach in for this project, in my hometown, we have several Mexican restaurants, and so in those Mexican restaurants, we have workers that have immigrated here, and they don't necessarily have the best. They don't. They don't have. They haven't fully settled in, I guess I should put it, to where by me trying to reach out to them and provide these resources, I feel like we would better um, we'd be we'd about we'd we better be able to communicate with them, but along with also give them resources to succeed and try to make their life better. Um, the and I ended up watching a movie to kind of base off of uh sorry to think what kind of put me to help on the community like this. There was a movie I'm blanking on the name again. Um, that the movie is about a family had moved into this area to where they had moved in and you could tell that they were, I believe it was a Mexican family had just moved into California and they moved into like a white community. So it was kind of hard for them to kind of settle in and figure out those resources. And so um, that's why through that movie, I feel like me providing those kind of resources would be able to help them succeed in all aspects. Um, so, so this project has, showed me how like kind of what, Deanna had said, talked about like how hard it is for them, like how hard it is for immigrants to move in. And we don't, we kind of think, oh yeah, they have it easy. They get all these things given to them. But really, I feel like through this project, I was able to see kind of exactly how hard it is for, these families to move into a country where everything's new to them. They may not even speak English and to where they don't know anything. And so, um, so that's kind of what I thought. But so that's what I kind of got from this. But the way I'm going to continue on pushing with this project is I'm going to push to continue reaching out and hopefully I can maybe get some sort of email or response to where then I can maybe try to reach out to this community, reach out to my community, help them in any aspect that can give them success.
Okay, so it seems like we all had a similar experience with our group projects, or I should say our individual immersion projects, where we're just having trouble getting people to respond back to us.
Yeah.
I say still keep pushing forward. Hopefully, eventually somebody should email us back. I know the holidays were a big obstacle for me personally. I'm assuming it's the same for you guys.
Yeah.
I really think that a lot of our activities, even though they were separate, they were helpful as a whole for this project. I know the movie that you mentioned and the movie you mentioned too, Chase, they do give a great description of what's happening, not even just currently, but even overseas. So I feel like that's a big benefit to see, not just from our point of view, but from theirs as well. Moving forward, I would just say, if you would, just give me the exact movie quote, or not quotes, the movie titles and the dates so that way I can better phrase it into our final report.
Yeah.
If you could have any other examples or informations, I would greatly appreciate if you put that in as well. I think we have the Google document up already, so we just need to finish that up, and I think we'll be good.
Awesome.
So I'm sorry that they're not reaching out, but keep on keeping on with those emails.
Yeah.